Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Class and this is Magic with Class, coming to you with week 2 of Commander Legends spoilers. Week 1 was very spicy. I think everyone can admit that there were many interesting cards spoiled as well as some controversial cards spoiled, such as the ever-present Jeweled Lotus and Opposition Agent. But hopefully in week 2 we will get some very interesting and playable cards. And overall, I personally think that Commander Legends is doing very well. I think it will be a very high selling set. And some of the commanders really interest me and really make me think about what cards and what decks I want to create. So I think overall Commander Legends is doing its job. It's certainly making me think about the format. It's certainly making me look at cards in new directions. And it's getting my deck building juices flowing, I guess. So far, Commander Legends has done nothing but impress me, despite some minor controversies. So right now we're looking at spoilers for Monday. This is the second week. And the first card we have here is Nadia's Nightblade, obviously meant to work with the legendary creature that is right next to it, and we've already gone over this card. But this is in a foreign language, so let me explain what it does. For 3 mana, 2 of anything and 1 black, you get a 1/3. It's an elf warrior, another mono black elf. So each time a creature that you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So yes, it works pretty well with the commander that we went over, the one that's right here. Overall, it's a decent card. The creatures that you control can leave the battlefield for any reason. They can be destroyed, they can be exiled, they can be returned to your hand, they can be sacrificed. So it is versatile. And a 2-point swing for every creature that leaves the field is decent. And if you're running this card with this commander, he will continue to gain power and toughness. And then when eventually he's no longer needed or he is destroyed in some way, you will get more tokens that hopefully you can get rid of, maybe sacrifice, and then his abilities will activate all over again. So the next card I want to talk about is a Celebrant of Bounty, and I did talk about this card yesterday really quickly. I was a bit distracted because I was also playing Magic Arena, so maybe my thoughts weren't particularly clear, so I'll just talk about it again. It's a 5-mana card, 3 of anything, 1 green and 1 blue for a 3/1. That toughness definitely leaves something to be desired, so this is going to get killed by pretty much anything. It is a legendary creature, a Naga Druid. I think this is the first legendary Naga. And this card does have Cascade, which is always excellent. A free spell when you cast this card is always appreciated. But it has another ability. Spells you control, or spells you cast, with converted mana cost 6 or greater, also have Cascade. So you cast this card on turn 5, you cascade into something. Then on turn 6, you're able to cast something with a mana cost of 6, and then you're able to cascade again. So this is another possible commander for a cascade deck. Apex Devastator is an excellent green card that does have cascade. However, I do not think I would play this as the commander. Maybe if it had partner and I could partner it with something else, I would consider it, but it does not have partner. First of all, Cascade is in many colors. I think it's in all colors, least of all white though. So I'm going to want a commander that has as many colors as possible, and this one only has 2 colors. Second, there are already 2 other legendary creatures that work with Cascade in Maelstrom Wanderer and Yidris. I think both of those commanders are actually better than this one in a Cascade deck. However, while I would not be using this as a commander most likely, I could definitely see this as a part of the 99 in any Cascade deck. If I was running a Maelstrom Wanderer deck or a Yidris deck, this would be one of the first cards I include because it is an excellent Cascade card and can give all your other expensive cards Cascade as well. so that can't be underestimated. So overall, as a commander, I would probably pass. However, as part of the 99 in a Cascade Commander deck, I would probably include it within the first 10 cards. I think it's very good. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you want a more focused Cascade deck. Or maybe you're not really building a Cascade deck at all. You're building a blue-green deck that just wants to use a lot of higher converted mana cost cards. And you just want the free spell or the free card that comes along with cascading. So I would like to see, I guess, a deck list focusing on this. Alright, next card we have Reshape the Earth, and again, this is one of the cards that was spoiled late last night that I quickly talked about. It costs 9, 6 of any mana, and then 3 green for a total of 9. It's a sorcery, and it's a mythic rare as well. You search your library for up to 10 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So I did not mention this yesterday, but like in the middle of the night, it like suddenly clicked in my mind that this would be an excellent way to search out Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. So if you search out 1 or 2 Valakuts and then 8 mountains, this can do a huge amount of damage just with that combo alone. If you have any cards with landfall on the battlefield, this can trigger landfall 10 times. So it makes a very good finisher in landfall style decks. I think I do prefer this in a red-green ramp type strategy, but I'm sure there will be many ways to play Reshape the Earth. And I don't know if it's going to be a staple of the Commander format just because of its huge 9 mana cost, but I think this is definitely something that can see a lot of play. I can also see this seeing a lot of play in green-black landfall decks, maybe with the Gitrog monster as the commander, as this could also search out Urborg and other swamp-related cards. So overall, I do think this is worth a mythic slot. It does feel powerful, getting 10 cards from your deck and directly onto the battlefield. It does not say basic lands. I think this card would be a lot weaker if it forced you to only search out basics, but this can search you out any non-basic lands you want. And in Magic, there are a ton of 10. 10 because it searches out 10 cards. There are a ton of excellent non-basic lands. I also saw someone mentioning this in a Facebook group that you can use this card to search out the gates at Maze's End. It will allow you to search for Maze's End and 10 gates. No, I'm sorry. It'll allow you to search out Maze's End and 9 gates. If you already have one of the gates, you would not need to search it out. But this is a very quick way to win using Maze's End. So there's always that strategy. The Maze's End deck, you probably are going to want to use Reshape the Earth. Is it one of the strongest mythics in the set? Well, it's certainly expensive, and I think this is part of the cycle of 9 mana sorcery speed mythic rares that I think each color is getting. This is the green one in that cycle. We saw at least the blue and the black one. Oh, we saw the red one yesterday as well. So, are we still missing the white one in that cycle? I don't think we've seen the white one. Hopefully it does something amazing, like puts like a million 4/4 angels onto the battlefield and untaps all your lands, and then draws cards equals to the number of angels you control or something like that, because white needs a strong game-ending spell, and if it's going to cost 9 mana, it should win you the game. So the next card I see here is Scholar of the Ages, 7 mana, so it's expensive. It's only uncommon though. 5 of anything and 2 blue will get you a 3/3 human wizard. And when this guy enters, so it has an ETB ability, so you can always flicker it so that it can trigger multiple times. You return up to 2 target instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. So that's kind of what I expected. So in a deck that's really focused on instants and sorceries, maybe you would want this card. There are cheaper options that can get back one instant or sorcery. The fact that you can get back 2 instants or 2 sorceries or 1 instant and 1 sorcery makes it versatile, but that 7 mana cost is very expensive. Also, in a sorcery and instant deck, you're going to have to limit the number of creatures that you have in that deck, and this is a creature, so you have to be careful. Overall, I would not fault someone for playing this card in a sorcery and instant inspired deck. But then again, if you pass on this card, it wouldn't surprise me either. The cost is very high for this ability. And I think there are actually sorceries and instants that return other sorceries and instants in your graveyard for a cheaper cost. I think this is just too expensive. Next card is a rare. We have Nightblade Harvester for 4 mana, 3 of anything and 1 black. You have a 2/2, which is not particularly good for a 4 mana card, so hopefully it makes up for it in the effect. It's an elf shaman, so another mono black elf. I guess black elves are popular. I guess people really liked them in Lorne and wanted more. I guess dark elves are like popular in the media, so I guess that's what they're going for in this. So this card does not have landfall, but it does. It has landfall without the keyword. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent... Oh no, it doesn't. So this is whenever a land... It's like a reverse version of landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses a life. Put a +1/+1 counter on Nightblade Harvester. So wow. So if you have this card on the field, your opponent may not want to play Reshape the Earth. This is a pretty good counter to Reshape the Earth, because not only would your opponent lose 10 life from casting Reshape the Earth into a Nightblade Harvester, but this will get 10 +1/+1 counters, so it will end up as a 12/12. There are also other cards that allow you, that kind of force your opponent to play lands or encourages them to play lands, and this is like a disincentive, so interesting at the very least. Next card. I saw this card as well on a forum. It's Necrotic Hex, a sorcery card. 7 mana, 6 of anything and 1 black. So each player sacrifices 6 creatures. If they have less, then they will sacrifice less. But if your opponent has 6 or less creatures, they're going to lose them all. And this is every player, including yourself, so be careful. But it doesn't matter, I guess, if you get rid of your own stuff, because the second part of this ability will allow you to create 6 tapped 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So basically, this can be used as a board wipe in most situations. Yes, there are situations where your opponent is going to have more than 6 creatures, but in a well-constructed deck, maybe you'll have more than 6 creatures, so this won't affect you as much. But even if you don't, this will still, at the end, get you 6 2/2 black creature tokens. So the first thing I thought of when I saw Necrotic Ooze was Thraxamunder. I have a Thraxamunder deck that has a sacrifice and zombie theme, and this would be very good in that deck. Hopefully I will not have any creatures when I cast this, but if I do have creatures, hopefully I'll have more than 6. Either way, it's going to give me 6 tap 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, so the other tribal effects in that deck that work really well with zombies or sacrifice effects will really work with Necrotic Hex, so overall it's a good card. Yeah, it's on the expensive side. 7 mana is a lot for a board wipe, but this gets around Indestructible. It gets around Hexproof. It's sometimes very hard to stop a sacrifice effect, and hopefully your opponent will not be running tokens that have like 20 tokens on the battlefield. Next card is part of the familiar cycle. So there is an uncommon legendary creature cycle that all have familiar in their name. We saw the green one yesterday, which gives commanders indestructible while it's your turn. This one is a Nightmare Cat, which is interesting. For 3 mana, you get a 2 of anything and 1 black, you get a 2/2. Its ability is, commanders you control have Menace and Death Touch, and it has Partner, so you can partner this legendary creature with something else. First of all, this card is not bad on its own. It's really hard to block profitably because when you attack with it, your opponent has to block it with 2 creatures because it has menace. That's if you choose to use it as your commander. Yes, you can run it in your 99, but I'm going to assume you're going to use this card as one of your 2 commanders. So your opponent is going to have to give up 2 creatures if they want to block and kill your Shadowcat Familiar because of the Death Touch. So right away, that's pretty good. It's hard to block. It makes your other commanders hard to block. Even harder to block, especially if they have higher power and toughness. So overall, I like Shadowcat Familiar. I think I like this more than the Familiar, the green Familiar from yesterday, because it's not limited to just on your turn. I know Indestructible is strong, but I don't think the card would have been overpowered by just giving commanders Indestructible during every turn. Next card we have Rayhan, Last of the Azan. Cost 3 mana, 1 of anything, 1 green, and 1 black. So basically this is a good commander for counter type decks. It works very well with counters. I actually use this as part of the 99 in my Skullbriar deck, which also works really well with counters. This is a reprint. It's not going to be part of Commander Legends. It's going to be part of the etched foil special cards that they're including mostly in collector boosters. So they're reprinting all of the partners, the 2-color partners that were released some time ago in an older Commander deck. They needed the reprint. A lot of them have gotten very expensive. A lot of them see a lot of competitive commander playing. Rayhan really isn't one of them. He's more middle of the road. But overall, I'm just glad they reprinted all of the older partner cards because it's just hard to find a set that would work well to reprint those cards. Next one is another one of these etched foil commanders. So not in the set properly, but it will be included in collector boosters, and you have always an extremely low chance of finding one of these cards in a draft booster. So Karametra, God of Harvest, was also recently reprinted in a secret layer. The secret layer was focused heavily on gods. I think all the gods were reprinted in that secret layer. So overall, I just got distracted. I thought someone was trying to talk to me on my device. So overall, Karametra, God of Harvest is a decent commander. She can ramp you. I've seen a commander deck built around her that was actually very strong, very powerful. So overall, I would say a decent choice. Not a great choice as a reprint, but a decent one. Especially since she just did get reprinted. I don't know if there was a need to reprint this card. And she was never one of the more expensive gods. But, you know, there we have her. There we have it. Kodama's Reach, just a common in this set, but I think this card was going up in value as well. This card basically has the same effect as Cultivate. This card actually is stronger than Cultivate because it does have the Arcane type, the Arcane subtype. So it's actually better than Cultivate, but it was just harder to get your hands on. So you probably have seen Cultivate, but not Kodama's Reach as much. So Kodama's Reach is useful because if you want 2 Cultivate effects in Commander, you can only run 1 of each card, but this kind of allows you to run a second Cultivate. Or should we say that Kodama's Reach allows you to run should we say that Cultivate allows you to run a second Kodama's Reach, because Kodama's Reach actually is the superior card. Next card we have here is Generous Gift. It's an instant, 2 of anything and 1 white. It just destroys target permanent and its controller, whoever that is, if it's you or if it's your opponent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. So basically, this is just like a color shifted version of Beast Within. Beast Within is a very powerful card in green because it allows green to deal with creatures without needing a creature itself. So basically, it was kind of a color pie break. I think they regretted printing Beast Within. It was in Scars of Moradin somewhere in that block where the Beast Within was originally printed. But ever since it's been printed, it's been seeing a lot of play in green commander decks because of its extreme versatility. You can destroy any permanent. You can destroy a land. You can destroy a creature. So anything that's giving you a problem, this card, Beast Within or Generous Gift, can get rid of. I think it's stronger in green because, again, white has really powerful creature removal in terms of Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshare. But so I don't think white needed Generous Gift as much as green needs Beast Within. But you know, if you're running a green-white deck and now you can run both of them, overall a good card. I think it was only printed once, so good reprint. Okay, the next card, Techic Salvage Splicer. So for 5 mana, it only gets you a 1/1 legendary creature, Human Artificer. It does have partner, so you're probably going to pair it with something. Before I talk about the ability, this is a Splicer. So the Splicers were also from the Scars of Moradin block, and all the Splicers kind of did the same thing. They would put a Golem into play onto the battlefield. I think one of them put multiple golems, put 2 golems onto the battlefield. And then the Splicer would actually have an ability, kind of like a Lord ability, to give all your golems a certain ability. One of them gave flying, one of them gave first strike, one of them gave +1/+1, so there was a traditional Lord. The issue is these Splicers are not themselves golems, so they don't benefit from the Lord abilities that they're granting their golems. So actually it's pretty flavorful though. So what does this one do? So I think the Splicers were limited to blue, to white, and to green. So only bank colors. So if you might want to partner this with a white commander or a white-blue commander. I believe the best Splicers were in white. So what does this do? As I thought, when it enters the battlefield, you create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. And I should say all of these Splicer cards work really well with flickering and blinking effects because you can just keep creating more and more golems and then they will benefit from the Splicer's Lord abilities. So it enters, you get a 3/3 golem. So whenever an artifact, any artifact, is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, that's artifacts on your side of the field or artifacts on your opponent's side of the field. So whenever an artifact anywhere goes into the graveyard, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on this Splicer, and also you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each of your golems that you control. So basically a Lord ability. When an artifact goes to the graveyard, this guy does get more powerful because it is very weak as a 1/1. But also all the other golems you have on the battlefield will get a +1/+1 counter. So the more golems you have, the better. They did spoil a mythic rare golem that I think would fit into this Splicer deck just for flavor. There aren't a huge number of golems. So any, especially on a mythic rare power level, would be great to add in a Splicer deck like this. And a lot of people are actually saying that 9 mana mythic golem is going to be like a bulk mythic. And I probably will agree, but it's still a really flashy and fun card. So, 2 more cards. I don't want this video to go too long. Elvis Dreadlord. It's a 5 mana card, 3 of anything and 2 black for a 3/3. It's a zombie elf with Death Touch. So another.
It's almost 10:15. 1:15, you got 5 minutes.
So another, sorry about that. Elvis Dreadlord, 5 mana, 3 of anything, 2 black for a 3/3. Zombie elf with Death Touch. whenever this guy dies, non-elf creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. So, not bad. And then it has Encore. So the Encore is pretty good because for 7 mana, if you have 3 opponents, you can create 3 of these guys. They will die at the end of that turn. So all non-elf creatures will actually get -9/-9 for 7 mana. So that's decent. For 7 mana, it's a decent board wipe. So if you're looking for a board wipe that gets around Indestructible and gets around Hexproof, while also giving you some attackers that can get in for some quick damage, you could do a lot worse than Elvis Dreadlord. Last card that I see for now, sorry. And this is in a foreign language, so I'm not actually forgot exactly what it does. Okay, Abomination of Lorner. So it's an elf horror, so another elf that's black. At least this one is partially green. So it has Vigilance and Trample. That's pretty good for just 3 mana. And then this guy's power and toughness is equal to the number of elves you can control, plus the number of elves in your graveyard. Okay, so that's where the black comes from, because it counts the number of elves in your graveyard too. And at least in Commander Legends, it seems like black has the black elves either want to go into the graveyard or produce tokens that you may want to sacrifice. Of course, this will not get power and toughness equal to the tokens, because tokens can't really exist in your graveyard. But Vigilance and Trample on a 3 mana card that can potentially be a 10/10, 12/12, 15/15, or more is pretty good. So I'm sure there will be more spoilers as the day moves forward. I just wanted to get a head start on some of the spoilers that I've already seen showcased today. So please tune in later when I will go over any other cards that have been spoiled. This is an excellent start to the second week of Commander Legends spoilers, and the comments that I'm getting have been amazing. The conversations that I'm having on Facebook about these new cards are terrific. I want to thank everyone for being a tremendous part of the community. So, this is Magic with Class, always reminding you to gather with class. See you later.